$300 billion. Just to fill out tax returns. The private sector, that's what we spend, that's what Exxon spends, that's what United Technology spends. We're now spending 3% of our gross domestic product to just fill out tax returns. That's not to pay them. That's just to do the arithmetic. 3% of our gross domestic product, which in the last quarter of 2008 went 6% negative. There's no value to an income tax return. Try and sell your income tax return on eBay. After you've put thousands of dollars into CPAs and lawyers, try and sell it. It has no value. Income taxes don't work. They haven't worked ever. Our founding fathers, when they wrote the Constitution, said income taxes don't work. We're going to make them unconstitutional. We got stupid in 1913. We passed the 16th Amendment. And now look at the mess we're in. So, I'll give you a little briefing on why income taxes are particularly bad for low-income, working, blue-collar, often union people. This is the same chat that I had with Thom Hartmann. Anybody know who Thom Hartmann is? Anybody know who Air America is? Air America is the liberal, progressive alternative to conservative talk radio. Thom Hartmann is one of their top interviewers, one of their top hosts out of Portland, Oregon. I've done his show. And on his show, I talked about the things I'm going to talk about here and now. Now, I'll give you the Tennessee talk if you want the Tennessee talks too. But I'm going to give you the talk that I gave in Portland, Oregon, because Portland, Oregon is a very blue state. It's the same talk I give in Massachusetts. Because the fair tax is just as good, if not better, for low-income people, for your typical Democrat Party constituency, as it is for Republicans or Libertarians or America First or Reform Party or whichever other party that I've already gotten to endorse the fair tax one way or another. You'll hear often that corporate taxes reduce the taxes of the people. Let's tax Exxon. Let's tax Disney. Let's tax United Technology. What happens when you do that? Prices go up. Prices go up. The concept that you've got to get across, and it's not that hard, is that no corporation has ever paid taxes in the history of the world. They collect them and they remit them, but they don't pay them. Taxes are always paid out of the pocket of a person. Always. So when we raise the taxes on United Technology, the first thing they do is they raise their prices. It makes an aircraft engine more expensive. The aircraft engine is more expensive. Who's going to pay for that eventually? I am when I buy the ticket to go on the airplane, right? It's going to flow right down to me. Make it easy. Exxon. They raise taxes on Exxon. Exxon's going to raise the price of gasoline. I'm going to pay. Now there'll come a point where Exxon can't raise their prices anymore, won't there? Because there is competition in this country. When Exxon has raised their prices as much as they can and competition prevents them from raising their prices anymore, what do they do next? Fire people. Or build a refinery in Aruba instead of building a refinery in Baton Rouge. Who gets to work in Aruba? Do Americans get to work in Aruba? No. But Americans would have those jobs. Union, blue-collar, card-carrying union members would have had those jobs in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. But they'll reduce the cost of labor. So one, they raise prices. Two, they reduce the cost of labor. Who gets hurt worst when you raise prices? Low-income people. Who loses their jobs? Low-income people. Blue-collar, union members. Now, if you've raised your prices as much as you can, and you have lowered your cost of labor as much as you can, where does the rest of the tax money come from? Shareholders. Now, for a mom and pop organization, In the hood, that means that the soul food restaurant owners don't get to take vacations, don't get to save money for retirement, don't flourish and prosper the way they should. At the other end of the spectrum, who owns Exxon? Union pension funds own Exxon. Union pension funds own Exxon and United Technologies. Who gets lousy performance in their pension plan if Exxon is overtaxed? Union pension plans. So the key to this is corporate taxes don't solve any problem. All it does is confuse people as to who's paying the bill. The axiom of taxation is that all taxes always come out of the pockets of an individual. That's been true since the days of the Pharaoh. It will always be true. Every tax paid traces back to the pocket of a person. The next thing I talked about with Tom when I was on his radio show is let's talk about how the income tax system works. I'm a low-income family. I'm working 2 jobs in order to get by. My wife is working too. Gee, do I get my whole paycheck? Supposedly I'm not paying any income taxes, but do I get my paycheck? I'm a paycheck-to-paycheck family. Do I get it? No, there's withholding. There's withholding of Social Security because I do pay Social Security. I pay Social Security with every paycheck my entire working life if I'm a low-income, hard-working person. I'm not a investment manager like me who makes well more than $100,000 a year where I don't pay any Social Security above that. So it comes out of my paycheck. Now how do I get that money back? Well, I have to fill out a tax return. Am I very literate as a low-income, 2-job worker who's flipping burgers at McDonald's and doing a paper route in order to pay for my family? Am I literate enough to fill out a tax return? No. So what do I do? And especially the Earned Income Tax Credit. Do you know what the Earned Income Tax Credit is, EITC? If you work for a living, you can get more money back than you paid in. But you gotta have a job, and you've gotta fill out the form. An Earned Income Tax Credit tax return form is blazingly complex. 70% of people who file the Earned Income Tax Credit have to pay a tax preparer to do it. So get this, we've got working Americans, low income, they have to have a job to qualify, but we make a tax return that's so complex that they have to pay H&R Block to fill the tax return out for them. 70% of the people who file that have to pay a tax preparer. Is this the way we're taking care of the low-income people of America? Is this what we intend to do to help these people make it and do better in life? Now, what does H&R Block do at the end of filling out their tax return? They offer them an instant refund, right? You've seen the TV commercials for instant refunds? What's that? It's a usurious interest rate loan. It's a loan where the interest rates approach 80% if annualized. That's what we do to low-income, working people in America. We're not talking welfare queens here. These people have to have a job to do this. Do you see how the income tax system is broken and discriminates against your typical blue-collar Democrat constituency? Do you see that? Okay. Now, under the fair tax, how do we do things differently? Under the fair tax, no American citizen pays a dime of tax until they live above the poverty level.